This is the new photochromic visor from IRID. Now this is specific for my Shark Aeron GP, and I've been testing this over the last 2 weeks to give a real world opinion on what this is actually like out and about on a motorbike. For those of you watching this, you're probably having a look to see if it's something that's right for you, if you can weigh up the positives, the negatives, and see if it's something you'd actually put your own money towards, which is why I'm trying my best to give you my honest opinion on this visor as compared to a normal visor, such as this one right here. Now, if you don't know what it essentially is a transitions visor, but it is instant. There's no progressive time that it takes in order to tint the visor. It literally is a case of sunlight hits and it tints. Now I've got some overlays that I'm probably gonna throw across in different parts of this video so you can see just how quick it is in a real world environment. From covering the solar cell lens, lifting away, and you can see just how quickly it tints, especially when it's incredibly bright out. Now, as much as I personally love this visor, of course, with every product out in the market, there's positives, there's negatives, and then there's the middle ground. And if you're happy enough, you will purchase it with your own good hard-earned money. So first off, how does this visor actually work and what is it? Now, photochromic, putting it really plain and simple, is a type of technology which has been implemented into these visors. Now, currently, as of today, which is the start of August, which is 4th of August to be specific, this visor is available on the Shark Aeron, the Aeron GP, the Race R Pro, and some of the LS2 helmets. It's also available on the X804. Now, you won't be able to see from where you're sat right there, but essentially it's a 3-layer system. You've got your inside of the visor, the tint layer, and then you've got your external. So it's protected within 2 parts of the plastic visor. Now, as standard with the Shark visors, it's still treated on the inside. It's still anti-scratch on the outside. The difference this time is you've got that additional part on the center, which is the tinting section. Now, at the very top of the visor, you've got the solar cell. Once that is hit by sunlight, it activates on the inside and tints this instantly. It's less than a second that it takes to tint. Now, when compared to the standard visor, it is ever so slightly thicker, but don't be put off by that because it doesn't actually impact your vision at all. Even though it's an extra millimeter or 2 thick, it genuinely does not impair your vision at all as compared to a standard visor. One thing you will notice, however, especially if you go for the light smoke with the tint section in the center, is you can see the outer line of the photochromic lens. It's something that took 15-20 minutes to get used to, but once you get used to it, you don't even realize it's there. At first, it can be quite hard to get over when you just see this solid line running around your vision, but it doesn't impair your vision whatsoever, and you do genuinely get used to it after about 15 minutes. Another good point with these visors is a second point which I really like is it's always the right tint. Now, when you wear a tinted visor and the cloud comes over for 5 minutes, you sometimes go, hang on, is that wet on the floor? Is it not? You can't quite tell purely because it's just too dark. When the light disappears and it doesn't hit this solar cell as harsh as what it was previously, the tint drops. It drops to a level where it's acceptable that you can see, and it doesn't impair your vision like you would when you have a fully tinted visor. So in that respect, it's great. It's a gradual change depending on the light level. Now, for the UK riders where you're in and out of B roads, going onto A roads, tunnels, all that good stuff, these visors are brilliant because they constantly adapt to the light. So whether it's ridiculously harsh and bright out, it will tint as fully as it will go. If you then go through some shade or you go underneath a bridge or something along those lines, it removes the tint instantly. Another cool thing I really like about this is that you no longer have to carry 2 visors when you're out and about. If you're like me and you go out at 2 in the afternoon and you know you're not coming back until 10 o'clock at night when it's going to be pitch black, you don't need to go through the whole squint your eyes, lift your visor up, maybe take a second pair of glasses underneath so you can crack the visor open to see properly. Plus the fact that it's actually also illegal to run a tinted visor at night, but I'm sure some of us have done that 1 or 2 times. It just makes life a lot easier. You no longer have to worry about, am I going to be able to see later, because this does all of that for you. Now, it is worth noting that some of the visors that they make are still way too dark at night because their base level tint is higher than what you would get in a standard clear visor. So you've got to double check that the one you're going for is definitely suitable for what you're going to need. And not just that, on top of everything, I find this genuinely interesting that we've now got some amazing new technology filtered into these visors that we've never seen before on the motorcycle market. We've never had these visors that tint so fast. Yes, we've had transitions, but for those of you who've tried this or you've seen this in person, whether it's at Motorcycle Live last year or EICMA in Italy, you will see that these really are just in a league of their own when it comes to the practicality and the setup and how they work. Especially for those of you who ride all the way through the year, you go out early morning, you come home late at night. It's perfect for those scenarios. Now, it'd be incredibly false of me to sit here and just go through the positives. So with that, we're gonna go through some of the negatives that I wasn't 100% keen on, but something you could probably get past as time goes on. Now, the first thing, this isn't really appropriate for me because I run the Shark Aeron GP helmet. These visors are only, of course, available on certain lines at the moment. Now, as time goes on, just like all other technologies we've seen, they will increase the models that they're available for. You'll see them filter into the Nolans, you'll see them filter into the Arais, the Shoeis. They will slowly, over time, go to different brands. And I think it's a great thing because then it makes it more available to everybody on the market. Now, this isn't a negative as such, but it's something I do want to put out there. This tint will not work if there is no light conditions to make the solar cell work, essentially. If there's no harsh, real high UV light from something like the sun, you're not going to have this visor tinting. So if you want to have that tint, you cannot get it without the light being there. Now, that's not a negative as such, it's how the visor is designed to work. It's its exact core purpose. Yes, it's a negative in some ways, no, it's a negative, and it's not a negative, I should say, in others, but it's something worth noting for those of you to understand fully how that works. Now, with all visors, there are road limit restrictions on this. So this one particular, it says on here for racing use only. Now, that's purely because of the tint. It goes past an acceptable level, and at certain times of the day, you physically cannot see based on its baseline tint. So you've got to be very careful in what you get and make sure that you're getting it for the correct purpose and you're able to use it in the environment you want to. Now, it is a new technology to the market for us motorcycle riders. So you are, in a sense, going to be not necessarily a guinea pig, but you're going to be one of the early adopters. You're going to be trialing, testing, and finding out what's great and what's not so great about these visors. And it's all part and parcel of that process. Now, one thing that I did struggle to get on with at the start was you almost feel like you've got a very faint oil slick on the inside. Easiest way to explain it is if you've ever gone out on the road and you've seen that rainbow colored slick on the floor, you almost see that in straight lines on its first energization. By that I mean the first time you look up and it activates, you see that weird little glare, but then after that it disappears. So again, it's something that you almost forget about as time goes on, but it is something you do need to get used to, because I thought, oh my God, no, have I broke it? And it's just something I found with this visor. Now, whether that is the case with all of these visors that are made, I can't truthfully say, because I honestly don't have the answer to that. But I know for this one at least, it was something that had cropped up and something I'd spoken to my riding friend Dom about, and he had the exact same thing. He had a little try with this and he agreed with me with what I was saying. Now let's talk numbers. Currently, brace yourself, for the Shark helmets, these are retailing at 390 euros. The other way to look at it is other brands such as the LS2 are about 200 euros, so it's half the cost. The reason the Shark ones are so expensive is you've got the anti-scratch, you've got the anti-fog, and then you've got the quick release system. So all of that is incorporated into one. If you were to go and get yourself a Transitions for 100 quid, whatever they might be, you then get yourself a visor that's got the anti-fog on the inside and the anti-scratch on the outside, you're going to be very close to what this visor is. The problem is, as humans, we just look at a product and go, that's too expensive, I can't justify that. We've got to have a look across the board, because there are a lot of things that are implemented within this visor that's not just IRID, this is Shark as well. This is, like I say, the anti-fog, the anti-scratch, it's all incorporated into one, and something you've got to remember when it comes to looking at these visors, because it's not just a visor. Now, a couple of questions I got asked when I popped this up on my story, I'm gonna answer now basically, because they're very valid and I think there's some really good questions and it might help some of you guys decide whether this is right for you in the long run. So how quickly does this react when you go in and out of tunnels? When I say this is quick, it is ridiculously quick. The second you notice the sun's hit your eyes, it's tinted just as quick. It is ridiculously fast to a point where you can't quite believe how fast it is. It's a really cool thing to experience, and it almost doesn't get old. That feeling of when you go, I can't see, now I can. It's a really good thing. But all in all, long story short, it is ridiculously fast at changing when you come in and out of tunnels, as well as shaded areas. Can you see the tint changing while riding? Yes, you really can. You go from seeing real bright reflections all at you. The second it tints, it's so much more easily manageable and you can see as clear as day. So yes, you can see it as soon as it does tint. Does the solar strip, which is this line that I was talking about earlier, affect your view while riding? It doesn't affect your view, but it is something you notice because it is quite prominent. It's a solid line. You notice it, and then like I say, as time goes on, you sort of get used to it and it's not there anymore. It's like the fact that you can see your nose if you look for it, but when you're looking straight forward, you don't even notice it's there. Now, is it worth the price tag that it's set at? If you're like me and you want to go out at all times of the day and you've got to take two visors, one for morning, one for evening, then personally I'd say yes. It's a lot of money, but when you consider all of the technology that's in here, from, like I say, the anti-fog, the anti-scratch, as well as the fact that you don't have to take two visors, you can go out when it's crystal clear, you can go out when it's pitch black. You can do both sides of it and the visor just does everything for you. It's almost like it is literally a one visor fits all. You don't have to carry anything else other than this one visor in your bag. Is it genuinely worth the price tag? Personally speaking, yes, because when you consider all of the benefits of this visor, in particular to the shark helmets, you've got the anti-fog, the anti-scratch, the custom tint depending on the light levels outside. So if you're asking me personally, I'd say yes. It saves carrying two visors for clear morning, dark night, and it's just so much less hassle. It does everything for you. It literally is fit and forget. So in a lot of ways, yes, it is worth the price tag. Now I appreciate this is a short video, but hopefully for those of you looking at the IRID visors, whether it's because you're interested in new technology or you're considering buying one for yourself, hopefully that has helped. I personally got on really well with this, and it's something that I was a bit skeptical of at first. I thought it was going to be a bit of a gimmick, but having trial tested it for a couple of weeks out on the road in real life in high level light and low level light, I can quite safely say it's a wicked bit of kit. As time goes on, of course, prices will come down, technology will improve slightly, and all in all, it will just be a much better visor. Now, things that I'd like to see, I would love to see this strip go slightly further out of the way, so it is a little bit more out of your line of sight of such. Now, of course, they've got to have a finishing point the entire way around, but I'd like it to be a little bit closer to the edge, just so it doesn't impact the visual look as such. But other than that, thank you guys very much for watching. Hopefully that helped. And if you've got one of these visors or you're considering getting one, drop a comment below because I'd love to see your thoughts and everything like that. So yeah, thank you guys for watching and I'll see you in the next one.